is the elected president of a free system. It is very clear to me that the Ukrainian president is a democratically elected president.
So Trump has declared war on Zelensky. Ukraine's president is trapped. There is no easy way out. He can either accept a bad deal from the US or reach out to Europe for help. Because, unlike Trump, European leaders do not question Zelensky's legitimacy.
He is the elected president of a free system. This is not the case of Vladimir Putin, who kills his opponents. He prevailed against his competitors, and there was a very clear, unequivocal vote by the citizens of Ukraine.
But Zelensky needs more than words. He needs weapons or some kind of diplomatic leverage over Russia. Can Europe step up to defend Ukraine? Can Brussels take control of its own defenses? Just a few weeks ago, this seemed unthinkable. For decades, European and American defenses have been inseparable. But as Trump intensified his attacks on Zelensky, Europe began working on a plan to deploy troops to Ukraine and take matters in their own hands. The details remain scarce, but France and the UK are leading this effort. They're conducting assessments. They're exploring what a potential peacekeeping mission could look like. It's too early to put a number to this. Everything hinges basically on the terms of the peace deal. If Russia and Ukraine end the war on favorable terms, a small European force should be enough. But as things stand today, that kind of deal seems unlikely, especially if Trump continues to dismiss Ukraine's concerns, in which case Europe may consider a larger deployment, complete with air power, drones, and air and missile defense systems. Basically a full-scale military deployment with 30 to 40,000 troops. Many experts have quoted this number. However, neither the UK nor France have confirmed this, and they're unlikely to discuss it in public. Reports say they do not want to show their hand to Russia, although Moscow is already issuing warnings.
We are certainly following all these reports most closely. We are following all the sometimes contradictory official statements of the Europeans on this matter. This is a matter of our concern because we are talking about the possible eventual sending of military contingents of NATO countries to Ukraine.
Russia rejects any European peacekeeping mission. Their foreign minister Sergei Lavrov has taken it a step further. He has issued a warning. Lavrov says such deployment is a direct threat to Russia, even if the troops serve under a different flag. Moscow has demanded an assurance from the US on this. It is their precondition for any peace deal on Ukraine. Basically, Russia wants to know what's going on, and it wants no Western peacekeepers in Ukraine. So the US has sought clarity on this from Europe. A few days back, they sent a questionnaire to Brussels. They want the specifics about potential European deployments. And listen to the questions that they asked. Would your country be willing to deploy its troops to Ukraine as part of a peace settlement? How and where would these forces be deployed, and for how long? What actions do the US allies and partners need to be prepared to take if Russia attacks these forces? This is part of the list of questions they sent, so America wants to know what the European plan really entails. And this could come up for discussion when two European leaders travel to Washington, D.C. next week, French President Emmanuel Macron and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Macron will meet Trump on Monday, Starmer on Thursday. Both France and the UK are developing this European deterrence plan together, and Macron says he wants to try changing Trump's mind.
I'm going to tell him that he can't be weak in the face of Putin when he'll have to face China next. That's not you. It's not your trademark. It's not in your interest. It would be a huge strategic mistake.
Expect Starmer to adopt a similar tone. Throughout this crisis, Starmer has been a hawk. He was among the first to confirm his readiness to send troops to Ukraine. Now his foreign secretary is urging other European powers to step up. They want Europe to take greater responsibility for its defenses.
It's existential for Europe to increase, of course, defence spending, to step up our commitment to our own defences across Europe.
The NATO chief is making the same demand. That's Mark Rutte. He has sent a clear message to all NATO members. Each one of them is required to spend 2% of their GDP on defense. That is the rule. But some countries fall short every year. They do not spend up to 2% of their GDP on defenses. Now, Ruth wants them to step up.
I'm happy that now 23 countries are spending the agreed 2%. But it's also true that there are still a few countries not spending 2%. I tell them, if you do not react to my phone calls, you might get phone calls from a very nice man in Washington who might be less, well, let's say, having less of a time, has more time limit, I guess, on what he wants to achieve.